today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Quantum Mechanix Star Trek The Original Series Spock 6-scale articulated figure. Coming to us from the QMX Master Series Articulated. This is also the QMX exclusive, which also includes a Vulcan lute. Spot's already had a look at the Captain Kirk and extremely impressed with what Quantum Mechanix did for the Captain. Looking forward to what they're going to be doing here with the, well, everybody's favorite Vulcan from the Star Trek series. The box art is very similar. In fact, it's identical to Captain Kirk, except for the swapping out of the name on the front. It features a panel outlined image of the saucer section of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701. Your back of the box shows an image of what the figure's going to look like. Spock's got a tricorder in hand, also comes included with a phaser and communicator. And like the Captain Kirk, you can also, there's a magnetized closure here. You can open it up the inside. Again, another image of what the figure's going to look like on the left. On the right, you have Spock himself, along with his accessories and interchangeable hands. Spot's going to take himself a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the Quantum Mechanix Master Series Articulated Spock figure. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Like we did with Captain Kirk, with Spock, the first thing we'll have a look at is this classic Star Trek Insignia display stand. The only thing that they have not actually put is the little star in the middle there. I guess because it will vary depending on category class or job class in Starfleet. I guess that will vary, and maybe that's why they opted just to give a more primary gold symbol without the inclusion of the symbol in the middle. It's featured on a circular black display stand with the adjustable neck for displaying Spock. Getting a look at the figure itself, I'm as wowed as with Spock as I was with Captain Kirk. It has an incredible likeness to Leonard Nimoy. I think the fabric is quite good. The accessories are quite good. I really feel like Quantum Mechanix is the proper company that could have handled this property. Let's get a better look at his face. The figure's head sculpt bears an uncanny likeness to Leonard Nimoy and Spock from the classic series. I don't know if it's maybe just perhaps the light, but I'm noticing that there's a slight bit of, not wetness to the skin, but it doesn't have the dry complexion that Captain Kirk had. Doesn't detract from the figure at all. No, not at all. But I do notice that it's slightly different than the complexion on Captain Kirk. Turn the head slightly to the side. You can see the Vulcan ears, very predominantly featured there. Speaking of wet, they have given a slicked wetness to the eye sockets, making them very lifelike in appearance. The sculpt on the Vulcan hair, also very nice. I didn't actually realize that Spock combed, or Leonard Nimoy combed his hair in this fashion. Because you can see, like, it looks like he kind of combs it forward, and then this section here, he kind of combs around. But the face sculpt is very, very good. As for Spock's outfit, he is wearing the Science Officer's Starfleet uniform, so it's blue rather than yellow. May or may not be able to make it out, but the insignia also has the swapped out rank class or category class to the symbol, so that you've got the Science Officer symbol on the inside of this slightly glittered insignia that's on his uniform. One thing I have to mention though about the material, and I don't really want to compare company to company, but I guess ultimately that's why you guys are tuning in watching these videos. You want to get an honest opinion about it. I find the fabric is a more smaller knit in the type of material that they used for the uniform. It looks accurate. The reason why I bring that up is if you looking online, because there's essentially like two different companies that are going to be producing Star Trek figures, one of which being Mezco and one of which being Quantum Mechanix. Not only do I find the face better on the Spock and Kirk in the Quantum Mechanix releases, but I find also like the uniforms seem more realistic. The Mezco one, I feel, just came across more like a Barbie doll or a Ken doll style of outfit. This one looks more like something that was, it looks like a smaller scaled down version of the uniforms that they actually wore in the show itself. Like very, very, very small, fine knit. And that's the key. Sometimes when you get a 6 scale figure, they're essentially taking the same style of fabric and they're just cutting a smaller size of it. They're not shrinking down the scale. The scale should be as equally small, should be the same scale as the figure itself. And I think Quantum did do a very good job here. He's also got the ranking on his sleeve, and I don't know if you can make it out. It's not quite even just a band of gold. There's actually some inner details inside the band itself. Very, very tight looking stitching as well. I have no issues with the stitching on the Spock, even like lifting up the arm. Stitching is very clean, very finished. Everything doesn't look frayed. And again, I have to touch base on the material. The material I'm really, really happy with. For the rest of his outfit, Spock has the very default black slacks and as well as black boots. Now, like the Kirk, the black boots are fabric as opposed to being plastic, which is really nice. The undersole, though, is plastic, which is not a bother of mine at all, but I do like that they went the extra mile, that they gave these fabric boots and not just simply plastic boots. Sometimes you can get away with plastic boots and it looks like fabric. It has all the wrinkles, all the little creases and stuff like that, but there's something to be said about feeling this and actually feeling like a real fabric material. Definitely points there as well. Like Kirk as well, Spock gets himself a Season 1 sash. Now, Season 1, they would have actually had their communicators, their phasers, and everything else attached to the sashes, and they simply would wear those. In later seasons, they would actually take, and I think it was just simply as Velcro, but they would take the communicators and phasers and it would just attach to the sides of their legs. Same idea with the phaser itself. The phaser would just attach to the leg and it would just sit like that. It's just a matter of preference. It's really up to you as to really what season you want to display them as. You can either display them with the sash, or personally speaking, I might more be inclined to display them with the phasers or communicators attached to their legs. Other accessories to come included with Spock: a communicator as Captain Kirk. And again, the easiest way to open these is just tip them upside down and have gravity work for you. The top panel of the communicator feels a little more stiffer than Kirk's. Kirk's was a little bit looser, but it does have the speaker on the inside, the different buttons there for, you know, contacting the Enterprise up above if they were on an away mission. And again, there's that magnet on the back if you want to attach it to his leg. Spock also gets the same military-issued phaser that came included with Captain Kirk, and in the same way, you can go ahead and take the smaller phaser completely off if you want to have them with the portable phaser, even though technically they're both portable phasers, but the smaller phaser can easily be detached. To reattach it, it's simply a case of sliding. Now you have to slide it in on an angle, same as Kirk's. Slide it in on an angle so that it fits. It fits inside that groove. Let me try that again so you guys can see. See that little notch on the end? And there's that little loop. It actually has to fit through that, and then the magnet will keep it in place, and the smaller phaser will not go anywhere. Now, unlike Kirk, Spock at least gets himself as well a tricorder. Kirk didn't come with a tricorder. He came with more phasers, and he came with the little pad that he could have on the Enterprise. Spock, on the other hand, being a science officer, of course, he's going to come with a tricorder. The tricorder has a real fabric strap as well. There's a little panel at the top here that can lift up, just like that. And then you've got your viewing screen inside with a couple of different buttons. As well, the front flap here, or front panel, also can open up. This one's a little more difficult because you got to get your finger in there, but that can open up as well. Exclusive came included with a phaser rifle. Spock, on the other hand, gets himself a Vulcan lute, which is essentially kind of a cross between a guitar and an auto harp. These have real strings. Be very careful again with the strings because they are the way they are attached. They've given like an actual wood grain look to the piece itself. There's what the backside looks like. A very finished, very appreciated extra piece. I personally would be displaying Kirk and Spock, perhaps on an away mission with phaser and tricorder in hand. But I do always appreciate when you can get an exclusive and something that potentially any collector could really display Spock with. I may not display Spock with a lute, but then again, I'm going to be displaying him more so with the tricorder. So I appreciate that Quantum Mechanix would have included this and really makes it worthy of picking up the exclusive rather than the regular release. Spock also seems to do a little bit better with extra hands as well. He comes with a couple of extra hands more so than what Captain Kirk had, a total of 9 hands in my hand, and he's got an extra pair of the default hands that he comes out of the packaging with. Some of the hands will vary from like Vulcan neck pinches hands, ones suitable for holding phasers or communicators. Of course, you had to have a live long and prosper gestured hand, and a couple of series of closed fists and accessory holding hands as well. As we've already seen, changing out the hands is very easily accommodated. One thing I would say is make sure you don't put your hand on here. You just don't want to, accidentally rub it off of the sleeve. So grab it more so from the elbow area. Just wiggle the hand off and replace it, of course, with the hand that you want instead. Because Quantum Mechanix gives you, it seems, a different style of hand peg, it means that the hands can tip, I find, a little further back than conventional 6-scale figures. It seems to give you a much more successful looking live long and prosper gesture, if you ask me. For Spock's posability, his head is on a ball joint. Now it's at the base of the neck, very similar to Kirk. He doesn't have a sculpt anywhere, or I should say he doesn't have an individual hinge that's on the head itself. The head is attached to the neck all moves in one motion. You might find, though, moving the head too much, that the collar of the shirt gets a little underneath the neck. You might want to just kind of correct that as you're moving the neck around. Shoulders hinge out very, very easily, forward and back. He has a swivel cut, or swivel area, right at the top. Now, I thought on Kirk it was right here, but actually the swiveling point is closer to the top of the shoulder area instead. He does have a double hinged elbow, a full rotation, and that hinge I was telling you about earlier, that hinge that gives you much more fluid motion on the hands. I do like that quite a bit. Spock's also got a ball joint. Now, he doesn't have, might I also add, he's got a very muscular chest, but he seems to have only a ball joint right, well, he's got a crunch point right there, right at that section right here, allowing for a rotation there, but then he's got a secondary ball joint that attaches itself to the waist. As for his legs seemed a little more on the limited side. They do give you forward and back motion, but not really a lot. There's a little cut right there which allows the leg to swivel at that point, a double hinged knee, a rotation and pivot point, not to mention a rocking ankle area on the boot itself of Spock. Finally, just for some final looks, of course, let's bring in the captain that we've already had a look at. Now standing side by side is the previous Captain Kirk that we've already had a look at, and Spock. Both figures are phenomenal. I really think that Quantum Mechanix did an outstanding service to Star Trek fans who have been wanting to get 6-scale figure releases of their favorite characters from the classic series. Both Spock and Kirk bring different things to their table. Of course, Spock's got the tricorder, which I'm glad that they included that. Kirk's got his own array of accessories as well. They really do bring outstanding releases, and looking forward to getting these guys on display. Again, I probably will not display Spock with the lute. I do appreciate that they would have included it, but me more so. I always liked it when they were out on away missions, so I'm probably going to be having Spock here displayed with his tricorder and Captain Kirk with phaser ready. It is very safe to say that the Star Trek franchise is in good hands with Quantum Mechanix handling the 6-scale releases. Let's hope we certainly get more figures released. And you know what? The fact that they've already got essentially Kirk and Spock molds. It's nice to I would like to almost see what they can do with more releases of like these guys using like the same molds. I've already alluded that I'd love to see a Kirk with the green variation outfit that he wore later into the season. Maybe we can get a variation of Spock here as well. Maybe we can even get like a mirror universe Spock. That would be kind of cool as well. But I'm really happy with how the figures turned out. Quantum Mechanix did an outstanding service to Star Trek fans out there. Today's collectible spot, we were having a look at the Quantum Mechanix Star Trek 6-scale articulated figure of Science Officer Spock. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.